saying it's not true that some white farmers have been murdered?
No, it's not true that there is a genocide against white farmers.
Okay, whatever you call it, have white farmers been murdered?
Actually, how many
violence been committed against white farmers?
How many white farmers? Hold on a second. How many white farmers have been murdered in
I don't know.
South Africa?
Several. I mean, they asked.
No. How many?
I don't know. Several.
I know why you don't know. Because those numbers don't exist broken down by race.
I mean, I know this. I wouldn't trust the South African government to tell me. I know that.
How many black farmers have been murdered in South Africa?
Look, you guys are so triggered over 59 people.
No. I'm not.
After we left 20 million people in the country, I don't know.
Hello guys and welcome back. Thank you. Let's jump right into this because we got a lot to cover in this segment. Yes, these all happened on CNN on the Abby Phillips show. We all know Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings is going to be on the panel for sure to defend this administration. And ain't nobody saying Scott Jennings cannot defend this administration. I think what Abby Phillips is saying, like, bring out the proof. If you want to defend this administration, you have to have the proof because according to the proof that Abby Phillips is referencing to, it actually does not go side to side with what this administration is saying and what Scott Jennings is trying to defend. You know what I mean? President South African, he came to visit President Donald Trump in the White House, and President Donald Trump was bringing out some information that has been debunked. It has been debunked because according to the news, not just the news from South Africa, according to what the CNN and I believe what everybody got, it is different from what was being presented in the White House. And this caused a lot of back and forth. I'm going to play the full clips. Actually, let's roll the tape, how this all started.
Good evening, I'm Abby Phillip in New York. Let's get right to what America's talking about. An Oval Office ambush. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa thought he was joining President Trump at the White House to reset relations. Instead, he was accused of allowing, quote, genocide of white South African farmers to happen under his watch. Watch this.
We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories. Excuse me, turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land.
The evidence that Trump is showing there with the press in the room has been debunked. There is nothing substantive to these claims that there is a genocide happening in South Africa. But that still didn't stop the White House from fast-tracking the refugee status of 59 white South Africans just last week. Now, here are the actual facts around this. In the last 9 months of 2024, there were more than 19,000 murders in South Africa. Only 36 happened on farms, and only 7 of the victims were farmers. How many of them were white? We don't know because official data is not broken down by race. Now, even a State Department report in Trump's first term addressed the claims of race-motivated attacks on white farmers. That same report goes on to say that those attacks and murders increased in line with the overall rise in violent crime in the country. Still, Trump accused the South African president of doing nothing to stop his unsubstantiated claim of genocide.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can
and then
take
when
land.
they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
Nothing happens to
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now been utilized.
The farmers are not black. I don't
now,
say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black.
Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is Elise Labott. She is the Edward R. Murrow Press Fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations and host of Cosmopolitics on Substack. And you can see there why President Ramaphosa was a negotiator for the anti-apartheid government. Because he had extraordinary patience in trying to explain to Trump that what he is claiming there in the Oval Office for the world to see is just not true.
That's right. And he also, brought some props with him. He brought some South African golfers, a coffee table book. He knows that, he needs to kind of, in this feudal system, bring gifts to President Trump. It wasn't enough to stop that ambush, but he tried to, correct the facts, let him know that the majority, and there is a lot of crime in South Africa, the majority is not against whites, it's against blacks. The majority is not against farmers, as you said in the intro. President Trump didn't want to hear any of it. It wasn't till one of the golfers and one of the white billionaires that he brought with him kind of said, look, President Trump, this is what's going on. And I think that's when, then there was a joke about the jet, which we'll talk about later. But that's when I think the meeting kind of turned and the tensions were lowered a little bit.
This is straight out of the conspiracy land of the far right. And it is not based in fact. And it's amazing that this has actually become the foreign policy of the United States based on just straight up. I mean, we have the numbers. It is completely unsubstantiated. I mean, Scott,
You're saying it's not true that some white farmers have been murdered?
no, it's not true that there is a genocide against white farmers.
Okay, whatever you call it, have white
Yeah.
farmers been murdered?
Actually, how many
Have violence been
hold on,
committed against white
How many
farmers?
white farmers? Hold on a second. How many white farmers have been murdered in
I don't know,
South Africa?
several. I mean, they asked.
No, how many? How many?
I don't know, several.
I know why you don't know. Because those numbers don't exist broken down by race.
I mean,
How
I
many
know this.
black-
I wouldn't
how
trust the
many
South
black
African government to tell me. I know that.
How many
How many
black
people live in
farmers
South Africa?
have been murdered in South Africa?
Look, you guys are so triggered over 59 people.
No, I'm not.
After we left, 20 million people
haven't
in the
even
country.
brought
I don't
up,
know what
even
triggered
brought
them.
up the people, the white people that Trump picked out because they were white and told them they could come to the country.
How much racial
There
killing are you going to condone?
There are 19,000 murders in South Africa. 36 were on farms. 7 of the farmers
According to
were
who?
victims.
According
Okay,
to
this
who?
is according to the South African
And
police.
you think the South African government is
The
a credible
other
source?
29,
when they admit it?
hold on a second. The 29 victims who were included in the farm killings were farm employees who tend to be black. So the vast majority of people killed on farms in South Africa are black. Where is the concern about them?
The concern is that there are white farmers who have had violence committed against
why
them,
is
and
there
they're being
concern?
threatened. They're being threatened
Why-
every single
why-
day.
but Scott-
There's 59
but
people,
Scott, hold on a
and
second.
you're triggered about 59
No.
people,
I
and I
haven't
don't know
mentioned.
why.
I haven't mentioned anything about 59
to
people.
substantiate
That's the
that
refugee-
white farmers
Why are you
being
only
targeted.
concerned about white people?
I'm only concerned about this story because these 59 people asked for status. They're getting status, and now everybody's freaking out
They
about
didn't
it.
ask for anything.
There
Actually.
is
this is-
no
this is-
evidence that white
Right.
people have been targeted. Some white people in the larger issue of farmers, in the larger issue of violence, have been part of this violence, but there
Then
is
why are they
no...
trying to get out? Why are they? If there's no,
Scott,
why are they trying to leave?
the majority of
Have you seen the videos of the people saying "kill the white farmers"?
Afrikaners do not want
What do you
to
think
leave.
the phrase "kill the white farmers" means?
Yeah, that's a phrase that the ANC,
okay.
that was a phrase that, was against the anti-apartheid movement. But the ANC, who's ruling the government, the president's government, has disavowed that phrase, has disavowed it in songs, and there's no evidence that white people are being targeted. And the majority of
they're not a part of the
Afrikaners do
government.
not want to leave.
They're not a part of the government, Scott. You're taking a fringe movement and you're trying to make it a characteristic
So
of
you're
It is
an
the height of
entire
racism.
nation.
It's the height of racism
For
to
what
say
reason?
that white people have to be exempted from all violence in any society. And that is what is being said here. If we cannot say, there is no white genocide happening, there is no farm genocide happening, and the argument is some white people have been killed, even though 27,000 murders happened in that country. What are we saying? If anybody of one racial group is murdered, then that constitutes a refugee status for that particular group.
When the president has also ended the refugee program for all other people in actual war.
Again,
There is
you're
actual
so triggered over
war.
59 people. I don't
I'm not
understand.
triggered.
You want them to stay, and I guess you want them to have violence committed
Ashley,
against them.
go
Would
ahead
that make you happy?
Go ahead and comment, and then I'll let
I think
Sherman.
violence against all people is wrong,
I agree with you.
including the white
totally
farmers,
agree with
but
you.
also including the black people that live in Africa. There are 1.5 billion people that live in the continent
I
of
don't like
Africa.
violence of any kind.
There are 1.5 billion people that live in Africa.
Okay.
There are 63 million people that live in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
There were 59 people that were extracted out of a continent of 1.5 billion people and brought to our country. And what color were those people? white.
So?
And where were the other places where genocide is happening in the continent? Where 1.5
Why are you
billion.
against it?
I'm not
Why are you
against
against
it.
it?
I'm not against it.
You
I want to
appear
know.
to be. Look at
No,
you, you're so
no.
triggered.
I want you to have a
59
complete.
people.
No, I want
59.
you to have. I can have a complete thought. I want you to have a complete thought.
My thought is,
You were
these
okay.
people are under threat, and
Well,
now
are
they're coming here, and you're
can you
enraged
say,
that they're not
can
still
you
under
say
threat.
that can you say that in addition to the 7 potential white farmers that were murdered, the 18,982,000 black folks that were murdered in the country, that's a problem too?
Yes, all violence is a problem.
Yes,
Then
and
why
maybe
is this-
But
perhaps
the
they should
government's
have.
policies are targeting these people with
Wait, how
land
so? Wait, no,
confiscation,
actually,
and they're being
that's
targeted
incorrect.
with violence.
Hold on,
There have
Scott,
been
how
no
so?
farms
How
taken
so?
from any white people yet.
Yeah,
Yes.
how
But
so?
the laws, do the laws not allow
There is a law, but it hasn't been.
it? There is a law, but
No, but
they're
it hasn't.
being targeted.
Kinda like the Constitution.
People
Hold on, guys.
are
Hold on,
attacking
guys.
them.
I think that
they're threatening them.
Hold on. A lot is being said right now, including many things that are not true.
What's not true?
So the land. Let's talk about the land for a second.
It is. It's the law.
Scott, just 1 second. Let's talk about the land.
It's a law.
The land. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Created
Let's
yet.
talk about the land. I'm going to take this one at a time because I think it's really important. 81% of the land. The vast majority, 96% of the private land in South Africa is owned by white people, despite black people being the vast majority of the population, 81%. The president of South Africa pointed this out today, that the United States has eminent domain laws that allows the state to seize land
On the basis
from
of race?
people. Hold on, from people if they want to. And here's what the New York Times writes about what the Trump administration did in its first term. The administration filed more than 110 lawsuits against landowners in Texas as it sought to secure space for the border wall, turning to eminent domain, even though many conservatives view it as an excess of government power that violates the sanctity.
Yes, guys, comment down there in the comment section. What do you think about Scott Jennings? I think his mind was made up before the show started, because y'all can see Abby Phillip, she was trying so hard, like even asking him a question, and he could not even provide, and he was still focusing on one direction. So his mind was made up. What do you guys think? I will catch up with you guys later. Please, as usual, let's respect ourselves while we comment. Bye for now, and thank you.